There's a quiet kind of pain that only certain hearts carry. Not the pain of being broken, but the pain of feeling everything more deeply than the people around you. You notice shifts others ignore. You sense tension before a word is spoken. You cry over things people don't understand. You love in ways that feel too much for the world. And you've learned to apologize for it, to shrink yourself, to soften your truth, to pretend your emotions don't run as deep as they do, just to make other people comfortable. But what if the thing you keep apologizing for is actually the most beautiful part of you? Some hearts aren't just emotional. They're intuitive, receptive, sensitive in a way that makes the world feel louder, heavier, more overwhelming than other people ever realize. Maybe you grew up being told, "You're too sensitive. Stop crying. You're overreacting. Why do you care so much?" And every time you heard those words, a small part of you learned that your emotional depth was an inconvenience. Something to hide, something to control, something to apologize for. So you built a life where you're always toning yourself down, carrying other people's feelings, acting like you're fine, and loving people who don't always know how to hold a heart like yours. But tonight, we're going to talk about why you feel so deeply, why you blame yourself for it, why others misunderstand you, and why the world needs hearts like yours more than you realize. 1. Where your sensitivity comes from. You weren't born too much. You were shaped by environments that made you feel like your emotions didn't have a place. Maybe your home was chaotic, so you became hyper-aware. Maybe love was unpredictable, so you learned to scan for danger. Maybe your parents were emotionally unavailable, so you learned to feel for everyone in the room because no one felt for you. Sensitivity is not weakness, it's adaptation. Your nervous system grew sharper because it had to survive emotional instability. Your empathy grew deeper because you weren't shown enough of it. Your intuition grew stronger because your environment was confusing. You didn't choose to feel deeply. You developed it as a way to navigate a world that didn't communicate clearly. And now, as an adult, this sensitivity shows up as taking responsibility for other people's emotions, apologizing for things that aren't your fault, loving harder than you're loved, giving more than you get, overthinking every small detail, feeling guilty for needing anything at all. Your sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's a survival skill you haven't been taught how to value. 2. Why people tell you you're too sensitive. People don't call you too sensitive because you actually feel too much. They say it because they feel too little. Your depth intimidates people who aren't connected to their own emotions. Your honesty unsettles people who avoid their own truth. Your tears make people uncomfortable because they've spent their whole life running from their own. And your empathy can overwhelm people who've never learned how to hold space for someone else. The phrase, "you're too sensitive," is not a reflection of your emotional range. It's a confession of theirs. They don't understand how you can love so fully, notice so quickly, care so deeply, hurt so quietly. You are labeled dramatic because your heart reacts in real time. You are labeled clingy because you communicate your needs. You are labeled overthinking because you're paying attention. None of this is a flaw. You simply operate at an emotional frequency that many people were never taught to tune into. 3. Why you apologize for having feelings. Somewhere along the way, you learned that expressing emotion meant causing trouble. Maybe someone rolled their eyes when you cried. Maybe someone mocked you when you were scared. Maybe someone dismissed your pain when you needed comfort. Maybe someone said, "Stop being dramatic," when you were simply being human. So now you apologize for crying, asking for reassurance, needing clarity, feeling hurt, wanting connection, loving intensely. Not because these things are wrong, but because you were shamed for having them. You learned that emotional needs equal burden. So you silence yourself before anyone else gets the chance. You shrink, you soften, you swallow your truth, You turn every emotion inward until you're the one hurting from holding everything inside. But here's the truth. You don't apologize because you're too emotional. You apologize because no one ever apologized for hurting you. 4. Why you fall for people who can't handle your heart. Deep feelers often fall for emotionally unavailable people. Not because you like pain, but because they feel familiar. You grew up around people who couldn't meet your emotional needs, so now your heart mistakes unavailability for love. You chase people who give little because you were conditioned to earn affection. You stay with people who don't understand you because you were taught to adapt instead of receive. You fall for avoidant people because their detachment feels like a puzzle your nervous system is trained to solve. And when they pull away, you don't get angry. You get self-critical. What did I do wrong? How do I fix this? Why am I too much? But the truth is this: you're not too much. They're too limited. Your emotional depth requires someone who can meet you there. Someone who doesn't run from intensity. Someone who isn't afraid of connection. Someone who won't punish you for caring deeply. Your heart is not a burden. It's a filter, revealing who can truly hold you. 5. How feeling. Too much affects your relationships. Because you feel deeply, you often end up carrying the relationship. You're the one who notices disconnection first. You're the one who brings up hard conversations. You're the one who tries to repair the emotional gap. You're the one who gives reassurance even when you're the one hurting. You love emotionally, mentally, energetically. But this depth comes with a cost. You overextend. You give until empty. You absorb others' moods. You take responsibility for their happiness. You forgive too quickly. You forget yourself too often. Deep feelers don't fall in love lightly. You merge. You absorb. You care with your entire nervous system. And when the relationship ends, you don't just lose a partner. You lose the emotional world you built around them. But none of this means you are too much. It means you were never taught how to be loved at the depth you offer. 6. The real reason. Your emotions feel so big. Your emotions feel big because they were never allowed to be expressed safely. You weren't taught how to regulate. You were taught how to suppress. So now, as an adult, small things hit you deeply. Unresolved feelings linger longer. Emotional wounds echo louder. You need clarity more urgently. You love more intensely. You break more quietly. Your emotional system was never calibrated to normal. It was calibrated to survive. But big emotions are not flaws. They are signals. Sensitivity means you're deeply aware, emotionally intelligent, intuitive, empathetic, capable of profound love, receptive to the world in ways others aren't. You don't feel too much. You feel accurately. The problem is that no one ever taught you what to do with that level of emotional clarity. Your emotions are not storms. They are messages. They are not weaknesses. They are guides. They are not too much. They are exactly enough. 7. How to stop apologizing for having a heart. You don't have to dim yourself to be loved. Here are gentle ways to stop apologizing for your emotional depth. 1. Honor your feelings without judgment. Your tearfulness is not weakness. Your empathy is not a flaw. Your intuition is not overthinking. 2. Use your voice instead of your silence. Say, I feel overwhelmed. I need reassurance. I care deeply, and it scares me. 3. Stop giving your heart to people who can't hold it. If someone calls you too much, there's simply not enough for you. 4. Stop making yourself smaller to keep others comfortable. Your depth deserves space. 5. Choose people who choose your emotions. People who say, I'm not going anywhere. I can handle your heart. Your feelings matter. You don't need to feel less. You need to feel safe. Your heart is not too much. It's just been given too little. You've spent years apologizing for having a heart that feels deeply, But not once has anyone apologized for giving you so little to work with. Your emotions were never the problem. The environments you felt them in were. You were told to stop being so sensitive, but no one asked why your sensitivity had to be armor instead of softness. Tonight, let this truth settle into you. You are not too much. You are finally enough in a world that has not yet learned how to feel as deeply as you do. And the right people, the ones who can meet you where you are, will never ask you to apologize for having a heart.